Good day, everybody. Welcome back to another session. Today's experiment is going to be the preparation of iron 2 sulphide by direct combination. This experiment is taken from the Royal Society of Chemistry's webpage. You can always visit edu.rsc.org for the actual handouts and the details on the experiment. Okay, this is a modified version of what would have been obtained from that particular website. This particular experiment is going to be looking at the preparation of the iron 2 sulphide by direct combination, as I stated before, but it also brings in to play topics such as energetics, because it's an exothermic reaction between the iron and the sulfur to produce the iron 2 sulphide. It also looks at the direct combination method, which is a type of reaction. So this falls under the topic of types of reactions. And it's also a method of salt preparation. There are other methods of salt preparation, such as titration, etc., and precipitation. And this is going to be one of the experiments that we'll be looking at, which is a direct combination reaction. So all of those different things can be discussed when you're analyzing the observations, the data that will be collected from today's experiment. So let's get on with it. We have with us our iron filings, and we have with us sulfur. The first thing that you do before you proceed with any experiment is to look at the make your observations. So you're looking at what are the characteristics in terms of the iron and the sulfur. You're looking at the color. You're looking also at their behavior. So for example, the iron is going to be, you make your observation and color and so on that you see, and the properties that you're going to see the iron exhibiting. Okay, so you should be able to see, this is a magnet that I'm using. It's actually wrapped in foil, and it looks very much like this bar magnet here. And we see the properties of the magnet, the iron, when the magnet is placed next to it. Okay, so we want to take note of these things and note that down under our observations. When we're looking at the sulfur, we're going to put this aside now and look at the sulfur. We're going to see the properties of the sulfur. We want to know the color. We want to know the consistency. Compared to your iron, what's the consistency that you see? You want to write that down. Okay, so let's do that. The next thing I'm going to do at this point is to mix the substances together. And I want a homogeneous mixture. If you don't remember what the word homogeneous means, you want to go and look that up. So I'm going to mix them together, and usually what you can do is just to pour back and forth. I'm just going to mix it, and I'm going to give it a really good shake until I'm almost more or less satisfied that it has been thoroughly mixed together. Sometimes when you shake things in bottles, some of the particles tend to settle to the bottom, the smaller particles tend to settle to the bottom, and the bigger ones tend to come up on top. The small ones fit in between and they find themselves at the bottom, and the bigger particles tend to find themselves on top. So this is what we have here. We call this a mixture. Okay, I'm going to try to take my bar magnet, all right, and I want to see if my iron still retains the properties that it originally has. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to take my bar magnet, and you can take a look inside at what is happening here. All right, and we can see that wherever, make your observations. I don't want to have to spell out everything for you, but you want to make your observations as to what you see when the bar magnet is moved around the container where the iron is. All right, so is it that did the iron lose its properties or not? Okay. So the next thing we're going to do at this point, I'm going to unwrap this so that my iron can go back into the mixture. Separate this from my bar magnet. forget that. No iron left there. And I'm going to give it one last shake, right, to make sure that I have this mixed as thoroughly as I can have it. And then I'm going to take approximately 1 spatula full of this, and I'm going to put it inside of my test tube. Okay, now I don't know if the photographer can actually get a view inside of this. I'm trying to make sure that the particles are distributed as evenly as possible. Okay, and I'm going to take this now and I'm going to put approximately 1 spatula full inside of here. I want to get it all the way down. Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, make sure that it gets all the way down. I'm going to put one more. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get all our iron inside of here, everything goes down. So I'm just going to give it a nice little whirl again to make sure that everything is mixed as thoroughly as possible. And I'm going to pin this up. Then I'm going to take this plug, cotton wool plug. You want to slow the release of any sulfurous gases that are coming out, because sulfurous gases are toxic, but you don't want to use a rubber band, because of course that is going to have cause a very large increase of pressure on the inside, and of course you know that could lead to a dangerous situation. So let's start our heating. At this point I'm going to light my Bunsen burner. For those of you who remember how to light a Bunsen burner, you want to make sure that you check your air holes at first. You always do check on your rubbers and everything. And then I'm going to have my air holes closed at this point. I'm supposed to meet it closed. I'm going to turn on my matchstick. Turn on my gas. And then I'm going to open my air holes. Let's try that again. At this point, I'm just going to light it directly. So you probably need a little bit of time for the gas to flow through. Okay, after done that, I'm just going to, because of time, I'm just going to light it like that. And I'm going to begin heating. So I want to heat it slowly at first, and you always want to keep your tube moving. I want you to observe everything that goes on inside of your tube. Note carefully everything that goes on inside of the tube. Pay careful attention. Well, everything. You observe everything, the color changes, any changes in properties, appearances. You want to note everything. Don't miss a thing. Okay. Give that good heating there. At this point, I would like to stop the experiment. Okay, so I'm just going to just give that a final nice little heating there. I have a few sulfurous gases coming off. All right. Okay, I'm going to turn off at this point in time. I'm going to give it a few seconds to cool. Okay, and we see some of the substance. I want you to note any spreads in color, any observations that you see any changes that you see, you want to take note of those things. I would let you know, since you cannot smell it, that there was a slight smell of sulfurous gas coming off. Probably smells a little bit like, so, you know, eggs that are slightly going off, rotten eggs. So you want to note that as well. Since you cannot be here to do this with me, I would have to tell you that. All right, and I'm just going to give it a few seconds to cool, and then what we're going to do is to look at the properties and see how those have changed. So note everything. Okay, so you want to take note of everything, and then open this out and hold it with my test tube.